Hello, kia ora everybody, and welcome to this video about the astrology of the week beginning Monday, January the 13th until Sunday, the 19th of January 2025. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar, and this week I'm excited to be able to show you for the first time a printed copy of the Australian edition of the calendar. So I've only seen this in digital form. I designed it here and my sister organised to get it printed in Australia, and we've had lovely Nina in Australia, our friend, distributing it. So that's been really awesome. But yeah, this is the first time I've actually seen it printed. It's got the same lovely illustrations by Jazz Robery and Australian Kelpie for Capricorn, wedge-tailed eagle for Aquarius, bottlenose dolphin for Pisces. Anyway, I'm not going to show you them all. You have to buy the calendar if you'd like to see them. So $34.95 Australian dollars. You can order online from Sun and Moon Calendar. It's been on sale for a little while, but we've still got some left. And you can still buy the New Zealand edition as well, and that is also $34.95, but New Zealand dollars. That's from sunandmooncalendar.com or sunandmooncalendar.nz. So what's happening this week? I'm just going to turn that so you can see it. Yay. Okay. What's happening this week? We have the midpoint of the Mars retrograde, where the Mars is opposite the Sun and close to Earth. We've got the full moon in the sign of Cancer, and that's very close to Mars. So let's get on and talk about it. Have I said this is Western tropical astrology from the point of view of the Southern Hemisphere, especially for New Zealand and Australia. I'm based in New Zealand, but I'm speaking for both countries. So let's get into it. Starting from the moon phase that we're in, well, the day after I'm recording this, we have the full moon in Cancer, and the moon is exalted in Cancer. It feels very happy in Cancer, so that is a nice flowing energy. The full moon is a culmination point, the peak moment in the lunar cycle, and you can think back to what you started at the new moon in Capricorn just before New Year on the 31st of December, what has been growing in that time and what is coming to a culmination moment. Okay, and that moon is right next to Mars retrograde, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later in the video and show you a couple of aspects that are playing out with that full moon chart. Okay, all right, and then the next aspect coming up after that full moon, a week later on Wednesday the 22nd, we've got the moon square sun. That's known as the last quarter moon because the moon is waning. So all through the next 2 weeks after the full moon, the energy will be waning and the moon getting smaller as it appears to us, and we bring our energy down before the next new start of the new moon in Aquarius. And that'll be the first lunation, the first new moon of 2025, new moon in Aquarius, and that is when the moon is conjunct the sun, and that occurs on Wednesday the 29th of January in Australia and Thursday the 30th of January in New Zealand, very early in the morning in New Zealand, late at night in Australia. Okay, and just to show you, we are in the month of Capricorn, coming to the full middle point of that month. So there is the Capricorn lunar month as it appears in the calendar for Australia, and here it is for New Zealand. So Australia has the Australian Kelpie sheepdog to represent Capricorn because it's so hardworking, dedicated and loyal. And New Zealand has the mountain tahr, and actually recently I was down in Haast and they have a lot of tahr around there, so there were a lot of hunting trophies of that beautiful creature with its amazing fur, and I chose the tahr for Capricorn because I really like mountains for Capricorn, like the ability to survive in those harsh conditions but beautiful, harsh but beautiful, and that the way when you climb a mountain, it's one slow step at a time, and Capricorn likes to do that. And there you can see the calendar, the Australian calendar, with the new moon starting on the 29th of January, just to show you that the calendar is laid out in those lunar months. Let's talk about the main events happening this week, beginning Monday the 13th of January. Okay, on Monday the 13th of January, we've got Mars trine to Neptune. This is one where we can think about spiritual warriorship, creative entrepreneurship, fighting for charitable causes. And we're going to get more of this energy coming up later this year with Neptune moving into Aries. And it's not that Mars and Aries are exactly the same, but there's a lot of similarities between them, because Mars is a ruler of Aries, and both of them are about that gut instinct that makes you just know what you want to do and take action without thinking, being direct and bold. And then Neptune is mystical, spiritual, very creative in the way where you're creating from what comes from the energetic realm. You're downloading that. And there's a lot of charity and acceptance, universal love with Neptune. So that's a nice energy to start the week with. And it's that will last a few days, because Mars is moving really slowly, and Mars moves slower than some of the planets anyway. And we will see that energy again once more, because this is the second of 3 of these aspects with the Mars retrograde. Okay, and then the full moon, as I mentioned, on Tuesday the 14th of January. So high energy, a culmination point in the lunar month there. And then with the Sun opposite Mars, this is the midpoint in the Mars retrograde period. And it is perhaps a moment where we can feel like we can see the themes of that Mars retrograde clearly. And perhaps in the second half of the retrograde, we've got more clarity about what we're working on and what we need to deal with. So we have themes of willpower, assertion, courage and life force coming up, and also maybe some ego challenges. Okay, and we could be seeing the positive side of those, like courage and assertion, and we could also be seeing the negative, the shadow side of some of these. So good luck, everybody. I hope that Mars retrograde is going well for you. I've definitely got a lot to figure out. I'm dealing with a lot of challenges with it, but it's part of life that we do need to go over things and work through things and revise, and I'm doing a lot of that, and I hope that that's going well for you. Okay, and just to go over the dates there, Mars is in retrograde until the 24th of February, and then it will actually be in its post shadow until the 3rd of May, going back over those degrees that it's gone backwards over. Okay, and then we've got Venus conjunct Saturn on Sunday the 19th of January, and this is the last one I've chosen to focus on as a main point. So with Venus coming into conjunction with Saturn, that is a new start. It's a new start with Venus matters and how Venus combines with Saturn. Venus being about relationships, our finances, our sense of self-worth, our pleasures in life, in terms of the pleasures of earth, our earthly pleasures, and what we conceive of with our senses and experience with our senses. And Saturn is about boundaries, restrictions, and rules, and our duties and responsibilities. And there's a new start in this area with this conjunction. Okay, so now looking at this week's aspects and transits day by day. On Monday, the 13th of January, the day I'm recording this video, and hopefully I will get it out today, we've got Mars retrograde trine to Neptune. This is a lovely one. This is where we can combine the sort of practical action that we can take in real life with the dreamy, imaginative idealism and romanticism of Neptune. And of course, Mars is retrograde, and this aspect has occurred once before recently when Mars was going forward over these degrees of Cancer, and now it's going backwards over those, and it's come into that trine with Neptune again, and then it's going to do it one more time. So there's a chance with this to activate dreams and activate charitable acts, spiritual practice. And we might not get it all right this time because Mars is still retrograde. There's still stuff to figure out, but we might make some progress with it, or do some background preparation, and we can activate it more fully once Mars goes over Neptune again, or not over it, but in that trine aspect to Neptune again later in the year, probably. I need to look that up, but it's probably March or April. Neat. Okay, and then also on Monday the 13th, we've got another nice one, the Sun trine to Uranus. And the Sun is in Capricorn and Uranus is in Taurus, in the last few degrees of Taurus, or actually 23 degrees, but it is moving, and it's going to be moving quickly over the next few months, and it's going to move into Gemini this year, and that is the first time in Gemini for 84 years, because Uranus spends 7 years in each sign, and it is coming towards the end of its time in Taurus. The Sun, we've got self-expression, our light, how we shine in the world, our ego and our leadership. And then Uranus is innovation, awakening, a fresh new idea, grassroots organizations, and solutions to big, wide, worldwide problems. So there could be some new ideas, utopian kind of ideas that help a lot of people. I hope that there's something cool there for you. Okay. And then on Tuesday, the 14th of January, we've got the full moon in Cancer. That full moon is conjunct Mars, it's trine to Neptune, and it's sextile to Uranus, and of course the moon is opposite the sun, always at full moon. I'll talk a bit more about the full moon soon. Okay. So, but any time with the full moon, we've got the full expression of that lunar energy, revelation, illumination, culmination, a peak moment in the intensity of energy. The energy has risen from that new moon time and become into its fullness. Okay. On Wednesday, the 15th of January, we've got the two benefics, Jupiter and Venus. Expansion, sweetness, comfort, pleasure, generosity. And they're in a square aspect together. And many astrologers feel that even in a square, which tends to be an aspect of tension and challenge, with the two benefics, it's great to still have that connection between them. They can be zinging ideas backwards and forwards. So there'll definitely be an energy with this, because a square aspect is energizing. So we can feel like we've got energy to activate something that helps us with abundance and expansion and joy and pleasure. And one of the take care notes would be just not to go too far with that. Okay, and that Venus is coming up close to a conjunction with Saturn also this week, and so it's still activating that square with Jupiter, Saturn and Jupiter in that square together. Okay, and then on Thursday the 16th of January, we are halfway through Mars retrograde, with the moment when the Sun comes into exact opposition with Mars. Okay, and with that, it can bring up some of the culmination point of that Mars retrograde, where we're really seeing the issues or the things that we need to sort out laid out. We've got a tension between the Sun, the need to express ourselves, our ego, our identity, our creative force, our vitality. And then Mars is also really vital and very creative. It's a warrior for the things that we want to create. And it wants to drive forward and take action. And of course it can't at the moment, not so well, because it's going backwards. And we might find that there's a tension between those two. Mars just wanting to get things done, and the Sun maybe in a more practical, just really active, driving forward way. And the Sun has its need for self-expression and admiration. The Sun likes some admiration. And yeah, there could be some tension there, but also energy. And perhaps we see more clearly the themes of our Mars retrograde. Okay. And then on Saturday, the 18th of January, we've got the Sun sextile to Neptune. Okay. And this is where all that self-expressive energy of the Sun to do with our identity and our creativity comes into a flowing aspect with Neptune, which is also so creative in that imaginative, ethereal, mystical, spiritual way. So we can feel like kind of really connected to the universe and to the energetic realm with this, and like we're in a really good space of flowing with the energetic realm and the ways that we want to shine on this earth, in this world, in this practical world. Okay, so that's nice. And then on Sunday, the 19th of January, Venus conjunct Saturn, and this is a more serious aspect, though Venus and Saturn do tend to get on. Venus is about pleasure and joy, the joys of the sensual pleasures of this life on earth, whereas Saturn is about how we need to face up to the realities of this practical life on earth. And while they seem like opposites, they are both about earthly matters, and they can get on well. But however, we might find that there's some restriction on our feelings of pleasure and joy, even our imagination, because it takes place in Pisces. However, we can perhaps think about long-lasting commitments and in love and financial plans. So there could be some good that comes out of this. It is a new start in this area. It's the start of a year-long, or maybe slightly more than year-long cycle, with Venus going around and then coming back to Saturn. Another one on Sunday, the 19th, we've got Mercury sextile to Saturn. So Venus conjunct Saturn and Mercury in sextile to these two. And this is where we've got a good chance to do some good planning for the long term, thinking about practical matters and thinking about how we can be sensible and think about the hard work and the discipline and the showing up in the long term for whatever it is that we're thinking about. Being practical with our ideas and thinking. Okay, let's take a quick look at the full moon chart. We've got the moon is full on the 14th of January. That's a Tuesday. And any time that we've got the moon full, that means that the moon is opposite the sun. And you can see on the chart there that we've got the moon at 23 degrees, or let's just say 24 degrees of the sign of Cancer. And it's opposite the sun at 24 degrees of Capricorn. Because it's 23 degrees 59, I've rounded up to 24 degrees. So always with that opposition, we get that dynamic tension. How do we bring that vitality and energy and bright daylight energy of the sun together with the more mystical, hidden, and flowing energy of the moon? Okay, so and the moon is full, it's fully reflecting the light of the sun, and we can feel and see our emotions more clearly. Okay, and we've got Mars right next to the moon, so just 3 degrees away from that full moon. So that full moon is really going to be emphasizing Mars and the themes of Mars retrograde. And Mars, of course, is about action and moving forward in a really determined way, an active way, warrior-like way with a fighting spirit, and it's going retrograde. So it's thinking about things and revising the ways that it takes action in the world. And with the full moon here, that's really going to illuminate that. And Mars also represents decision making. It's decisive. It cuts things, and anytime we make a decision, we have to say yes to something and a clear no to something else. And we may find that with the fullness, that culmination point of the full moon, it's time to decide, that we really come to a point where we decide about some things. Okay. And the full moon is supported with a trine to Neptune, okay, and so that's a trine from the moon to Neptune and a sextile from the sun to Neptune, and a sextile from the moon to Uranus and from the sun to Uranus. And this is part of that ongoing Neptune Uranus sextile that's going to be going all of next year and beyond. I think we've been under it a little bit already, and also with the trine to Pluto, that's going to become more exact between Pluto and Uranus, and an ongoing decades-long sextile between Pluto and Neptune. The full moon is illuminating that relationship, and it's a relationship of spirituality, technology, and easy flow with these, innovation, new ideas, and connecting to the energetic realms. I've been talking about it a lot, and I will be again, because it's really in play in 2025. Okay, so that is a supportive aspect of the full moon, and where there's some challenge with the full moon, with its conjunction with Mars retrograde, then that aspect can help us perhaps think more innovatively, perhaps think more about, despite all the troubles, we can feel like everything will be okay and let go because of the Neptune energy in there. And still playing out the aspect that came exact on Christmas Day, they're still close, and that is the Jupiter-Saturn square. We're operating over about a year. We're halfway through it. It comes exact again in June, and they're starting to pull apart now. However, it is still in play, and so that's playing in a little bit to this full moon as well. That's all from me, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you have a good week with all that's happening. And remember to order your sun and moon calendar. You've got a New Zealand edition or an Australian edition from sunandmooncalendar.com or sunandmooncalendar.nz. And enjoy your week, and I'll see you next time. Hei konara.